Good morning, church. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Walk in Wisdom, going through the book of Proverbs. Now, the book of Proverbs is packed full of stuff. We're on chapter 12 today, and chapter 12, honestly, it could be, you could go through this book for weeks probably with all the stuff that's packed in here. So I definitely recommend you to go and read it. There's a lot in there. I'm going to pick out a few things that really stuck out to me. And the words that stuck out to me were discipline, diligence, and deceit. And I'm going to explain a little bit about all of that. But as we go through this book, first off, the very first verse starts off by saying, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid." So, I don't know about you guys, but I actually kind of like when the Bible calls us stupid. I know that sounds weird, but it just gives some authenticity to the Bible. It gives some realness. If the Bible was there to cater to try to, let's just put it this way: if man made the Bible, if the Bible was man made and it wasn't God inspired, then I would think it would take out the parts where it calls the people reading it stupid, because who's like, oh yeah, I want to read some more of this, it just called me stupid. So I love the verses that really don't hold any punches. They don't hold back at all, and just kind of call it like it is. But I want to kind of dig into that a little bit there. Discipline. So we talked about it a little bit before in one of the other chapters, but this says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge." There's another verse in there, verse 15, and it says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice." So basically what I see from these verses, and there's a couple more in there that talk about having sense and things of that nature, but is that we should be happy to receive discipline. And we should be happy to receive advice and constructive criticism. So I say all that to be because a lot of times we get defensive when someone comes to us with any type of correction or criticism or something that kind of pushes back against what we're doing or what we think we should be doing or how we think we should be doing or how we think we should be saying things. We can get very defensive. But I think it's very clear in this chapter, especially, that if we hate and we don't accept that reproof or that discipline, then we're stupid. And the reason why it says that is because if we're never accepting criticism, if we're never accepting discipline from the Lord and those that He sends to us, obviously there's a difference between constructive criticism, discipline, and someone just being outright rude or mean or hateful to us. So there's definitely a difference there that we need to understand. But the reason why it says we're stupid if we hate those things is because if we hate discipline is because discipline brings knowledge. Discipline brings wisdom. When we're disciplined, when we receive constructive criticism to better ourselves and better our walk with God, when we receive those things and we actually take those in and we internalize and we learn from those things, now we've become more knowledgeable. Now we're wiser, and now we're able to walk more clearly in the path that God has called us to. So, we need to get used to that because it can be hard. It can be hard to take discipline. It can be hard to take that criticism, but it's there to help us. So let's not be stupid. How about that? I'm just trying to offend someone today, I guess. The next thing on there talks about diligence. So it's not getting any better, guys. So turn it off if you don't want to be talked to a little bit. I'm talking to all of us, including myself, when I say these things. So diligence in here. Throughout this, interweaved within this chapter, there's many verses about being diligent, not being slothful. One of them, in verse 11, it says, "Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense." So that one, it just basically says whoever's working, whoever's making things happen, whoever's working hard and being diligent in what they do, They have plenty of food. They have plenty of bread. But those who are following worthless pursuits, those who are doing things that are time wasters, that aren't really hard work, that aren't things that are driving results, then they lack sense. The other part says, the hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. Or there's another one in there that says, whoever is slothful will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. So the whole theme of this diligence is that as believers in Christ, our lives should be themed with hard work and diligence. What we do, when people look at it as believers, we should never be thought of as the lazy person, because that isn't what God has called us to do. God has called us to work hard, to be diligent, to do everything we do in excellence, do everything we do with all of our might, as if working unto the Lord, as it says in Colossians. So diligence is key. What we should be doing is focusing on being hard workers. That is one way that we show who God is to others, when we're able to work hard and work past those things, and not be slothful or lazy. Deceit was the other one. So deceit was an interesting one. All throughout here, it randomly has verses about being deceitful. It's pretty obvious that as followers of Christ, we shouldn't be deceitful. I would think that was very obvious, but sometimes we can allow ourselves to get involved with being partially deceitful, or coming up with ways of working around the system. And I talked about this a little bit in our last video of kind of toting the line. But the verses in here in verse 13 and verse 18, for a couple of verses, says, an evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. Our lips should not be an ensnarement. It shouldn't be an entrapment for our lives. So the words that come out of our mouth should always be honest and truthful, in love. So don't use that as an excuse to just be blunt and rude with people, but they should be honest and truthful. Our lips should not be the thing that entraps us, or causes others to see God differently, or causes others to see us differently. Our lips should always be truthful and honest. They should be our escape from trouble, is what this says basically. It says that that the evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. So if you take the way that follows, it's saying that the words we speak in love and truth and honesty should actually escape us from that trouble, should actually pull us out of any entrapment or any ensnarements that we run into. The other verse was, there is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So this one, I love this verse, because it basically says, as a believer, we should be wise, which we've already gone over. So therefore, our tongue should be wise, and it should bring healing. So what we say shouldn't hurt people further. What we say, and it shouldn't bring pain, shouldn't bring hurt to those. I'm sure many of you know, or maybe you've been hurt at times in your life by people claiming to follow Christ. But this makes it very clear that we should be very careful with our words. We should be very careful with how we speak and what we say, because our tongues should bring healing. What we say should start that path of healing for people, so that they can come closer to Christ and they can receive the full healing. Just understand that our words hold weight. Our words they hold a lot of weight with the people around us. So don't be the one whose words are rash and like sword thrusts, as it says, but be wise and be healing. So as we go throughout our week, as we go throughout our days, just remember that in these times, there's another verse in there that talks about us being guides to our neighbors. And that goes along with this. Us being honest and truthful and being wise. We should be the ones that our neighbors are running to for advice in these times. We should be the ones who our neighbors come to, because they know that the words we speak are true, but they also bring healing. They also bring them closer to that wholeness and that healing that they're looking for. So And I know that's a tough one. I know for myself as well. It's something we could work on every day to better speak those words of life and healing to those around us. So I hope you all are having a great day, and hopefully we will see you all in person soon. Enjoying all this time in ways we can connect virtually, though. And so I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you're reading through the book of Proverbs. There's a lot to unpack there. I hope you have a great day.